good, everybody? It is your man here, the Todd voice, back with another YouTube video. So last night, I finally got to watch Obsession. That movie, if you haven't seen it, go see it. That movie was so good. And it got me to thinking about, I always talk about us older people and the problems we have in dating and finding love. It got me to thinking that maybe we're not the only ones that have it so bad. I'm thinking about the younger folks, like their dating experiences are completely different, but yet the same as what we're going through at an older age now. I was looking at some TikToks this morning. I'm going to share them with you in a second, of people and their bad dates. And I'm just thinking, like, what does the world have in store? Because things are just crazy when it comes to dating and just meeting people and like I always say, the apps are terrible and whatnot. And we all know that already. The apps are terrible, but that's almost like what the younger generation only has. They only have the apps. They're not meeting each other outside. From what I'm understanding, they're preferring the apps and making it easier for themselves. But, the easier road isn't always better. As they say, resistance makes you stronger. And I think that they may need a little bit of resistance, but shoot, with the dates that they're going on, maybe that's enough resistance, It's just been so crazy. But yeah, one thing, if you haven't seen Obsession, go see Obsession. Go cut me off and turn on your Peacock or whatever and go watch Obsession immediately. That movie was so good. But we're not talking about actors here. We're talking about real people with real problems and real situations, and it's just crazy that they're having so many just weird experiences that I don't think the world can sustain this. Maybe it's all in God's plan to lessen the people on the earth. They say that the earth is overpopulated and whatnot, even though there's lots of miles of no occupation. I mean, there's nobody occupying the space in a lot of places, but they're saying the city's overpopulated and everything like that. But so I guess this is really the only choice that they have, but they have got it so interestingly bad that I had to wake up this morning after watching the movie. I had to wake up this morning and look at some TikToks of younger folks and their dating experiences and what they're going through. And I like watching them. It's actually funny to me, but let's look at some videos and see what some of these youngsters are going through in these dating streets, because it is absolutely crazy. And I hope, I don't know where things are going. I don't know what's going to happen, but I guess we're all going to find out together. So let's check out these videos. If you're new here, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. It really helps me out a lot. And if you appreciate what I'm doing here and want to see a little bit more of it, like and subscribe. I love you for it.
I just got back from a first and last date that had the most terrible ending, and I want to tell you about it because it was so insane that I was like, I need to share this because I feel like people have gone through this, and I want to focus more on the red pill agenda mentality, the way that it is like poisoning men versus his character, because I feel like that really is what the problem was. This man, who I also have blocked on Instagram and phone number, and I didn't block him on TikTok because I was like, you know what? I'm not ashamed of how I feel. And I also feel like this could be a learning lesson for him if he's open to hearing it, and maybe he can see how wild his behavior was. I met him about a year ago at an event that we worked together. He had been pursuing me for a while, kept messaging me, asking me out, saying that he wanted to meet up. Finally, I was like, okay, sure. I perceived him to be younger than he was, so I was like, I don't think age-wise he's necessarily someone I would go for, but he's super nice. The couple times we worked together, he was very nice. We laughed, whatever, we got along. So I was like, let me give him a chance. Let me not be so close-minded, because even if there is an age gap, maybe there could be something there. So mistakes were made. So he was like, okay, cool. I made a reservation at this place. I'll meet you there at this time. We'll get drinks. It's happy hour, whatever. Get some light bites, and then we'll see, maybe we'll go for drinks somewhere else or whatever. And I was like, cool. We meet up. I want to say like 2 hours passed of us, like, we ordered tapas. I was having like a little sangria. He was having his drink. We're having a great time. We're having great conversation. There were definitely some flags that were raised, but me being in my like, let's be open-minded space, I was like, okay, this guy clearly is like a nice person, and there's some ways that he thinks that I think could be detrimental to dating, but I don't think it's enough for me to like write him off. And I like his energy. He seems like a nice person. I like some of the ways that he views the world in like a very positive sense. But one thing he did say was, I don't get into conversations about religion or politics because I feel like that's iffy. And I was like, that usually means like secret MAGA or like secretly conservative or secretly oppressive towards women. And every woman knows this when it comes to like being on Hinge or Bumble. If a guy says like not political, he's probably has beliefs that are oppressive towards you or towards, a marginalized group of people. We get toward the end of the date. The waiter brings the check. The check sits there for like 15 minutes. And I'm in a space now, because I'm older, to where I don't feel uncomfortable and feel like I need to offer to pay half, because I'm like, you asked me out, you wanted to see me, it's the first date, you should be paying for it. And so the check is sitting there, and the waiter comes over and he's like, hey, should we take care of this? It's been a while, you guys gonna pay? And he gets mad awkward, and like his face gets kind of serious, and he's like, oh yeah, I guess so. And he like goes into his pocket like slowly. The waiter walks away, and then he's like, so like, like just to be transparent, like this wasn't a date necessarily. And I was like, okay. And he goes, yeah, I mean, like, I could like pay for it, but if you want to split it, like we could do that. And I was like, okay. And then he's like, but so let me ask you, like, what's going on with your dating life? What's your dating life been like? And I was like, well, I haven't been on a date since February. It is now July, because I've been working on myself. I've been healing, and I'm being very intentional and very specific about what I'm looking for. So like, I'm not, my stage of like having fun and just going out just to go out is behind me. And so like, that's kind of where I'm at, and I haven't really been dating anybody. And he was like, okay, cool. And I was like, how's dating been going for you? And he goes, yeah, well, I'm starting a new job soon. I'm not really in a place to like get into anything serious. I'm not really looking for a relationship. I'm not necessarily looking for a one-night stand, but I'm looking for kind of that middle spot. And I was like, okay. And he was like, yeah, but like, if you want to, the next one could be a date if you want to go out again. And I was like, okay. And he was like, yeah, I mean, or, I could pay for this now if you want to give me some ass. As soon as he said that, mind you, there are people near us. So like these tables, we're sitting on a patio. The tables are very close by. So there's a couple to our left. There's people like back, behind him and behind me. And he said this loud enough for them to hear. And the table next to us, I don't know if they were listening to the conversation, but the guy turned over and looked at us. And in my head, I was like, that's wild to say. And that's wild to say in front of other people in like mixed company in a public space. Like literally, I will pay for this meal if you'll sleep with me. Not even trying to hide the fact that this is a transactional thing for him. And I feel like this is a thing that I have come across a couple times before, or at least one time really seriously before, where men are being coached into hiding their red pill mentality and revealing it at a moment where you're kind of a little bit invested already, just to test you and see how you react. Because I had something similar happen back in, I want to say like March, where I was talking to a guy. We met, we were talking, laughing, whatever. We had a great time. I want to say like an hour into talking. We weren't on a date. We met in like a public space. And then when we exchanged numbers and we talked on the phone later on that night, that's when he showed his red pill mentality and did a complete 180 to where I was like, I don't even recognize the person that I'm talking to right now. And we just met. And who you're showing me is literally Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Like, who is this other person? I've definitely come across dating coaches where they talk about staying on top of what the red pill atmosphere is talking about and the tips and tricks and the methods they're teaching them. And I don't really want to subject myself to that because it's just going to make me angry. And I don't want to be resentful towards men more than I already am, because I know there are good men out there. So I don't want that to warp my view of men in general. But it is important to stay on top of these things and to be aware of them, because I feel like that's what was happening. It very much seemed like something he had been like coached into doing versus something necessarily that he was doing because he genuinely believed that it was the right thing to do. Maybe he did, I could be wrong, but because it's been a pattern that I'm seeing where men are showing like their really good side, and it's kind of like, it seems like they're coaching them into do all the things that women want, ask her out, make the reservations, and then flip the switch on her and see how she responds. Like, if you want her to pay her, if you want her to put out, then like see how she responds to that. So that didn't work on me because I am in a very different space than where I was 10 years ago. I think with age comes wisdom. And so I basically left. I was like, hey, I need to go to the restroom. And I went to the restroom and I actually asked the waitress inside, I was like, do y'all have a back exit? Because I'm on a really terrible date. And she was like, no, I'm so sorry. And I was like, it's fine. So I went out the front door. We were on the patio area out in front of the restaurant. I went out the front door and I booked it. And I walked off because I actually did go to the restroom. While I was in there, I was like, in situations like this, you question yourself and you're like, okay, am I overreacting? Am I reacting too strongly? Is this not that big of a deal? And the more I sat in it, the more I was like, no, this is disrespectful. This is not okay. This is terrible treatment. This is like, he's objectifying me and treating me like I'm less than, and not like I'm not worthy of $100 bill for dinner, and like that's not okay. So I should leave, and I shouldn't feel guilty about that, and I also don't owe him anything. So I left. I walked off. I actually walked on a grate as I was leaving, and it was very loud, so I was like, I don't know if he saw. I basically just didn't even look and like kept it moving, and I feel zero guilt about that, and I actually feel really good. I wanted to share this to spread awareness, to share just how ridiculous it is, because it's been less than an hour and I'm already like, this is just funny. Like, I'm gonna laugh at this. I'm gonna tell my friends about it and be like, can you believe that this happened? But it's also something to be aware of. There are genuinely good people out there and there are genuinely good men, but a lot of them have fallen into this toxic environment online that is coaching them into doing these things and misleading women and tricking women. So just be aware of it, and do not be afraid to walk out on the date. Whether or not he knows you're walking out, walk out secretly or walk out in front of his face. Like, you owe him nothing. You deserve to be treated well.
Well, that's a pretty crazy story right there. I'm glad that she was able to stand on her own business and believe, and follow her own beliefs. I don't necessarily think that it was red pill that made him do what he did. I think that it's just the environment that dating is right now. It's all transactional. You're meeting people online, overextending yourself, or you're meeting people wherever you're meeting them, and you pretty much just kind of burned yourself out on dating. You're doing it too much. You're meeting too many people, and you're just trying to get too much. It gets to a point, because I was at this point myself. When I was younger, I was bubbly about going out on dates. I didn't have a problem paying. I didn't have a problem doing all that stuff, but it wasn't necessarily for the getting booty afterwards. It was more about just seeing where this person was at in their headspace, to see if they were going to be reciprocal for what I was doing. Now, this man, of course, to ask for ass, so to speak, for paying for dinner, it's kind of ridiculous.
So I met her with this lady at a restaurant called Mariachi's. Nice little Mexican food restaurant that was close to both our houses. So when she shows up, the first thing I thought was, I got catfish, because she looks nothing like the pictures that's on her profile. The second thing I thought was, she must be pregnant, because she had a pot belly and it didn't go with her figure. So we sit down at the table and she keep complimenting my looks, but I can't compliment her back because she wasn't attractive at all. And she was also two different colors. Her arms, her chest, and her neck was dark skinned, but her face was light skinned. She had so much up on, I didn't know who I was on a date with. And I can tell she didn't have no hair, because she had a part in her wig that was like this, got down for a part. Now, it's too early for Halloween, but she came dressed in a costume any way. But I digress. Let me continue with the story. So we order our first thing she orders is this big ass margarita. And then she tried to order me one. And I said, nah, I'm good. I don't drink outside of my house. But the real reason I didn't want to drink because I didn't want anything changing my inhibitions. Because I didn't want to wake up with that in the morning. Hell no. So I really want this to be over with because I am not enjoying myself. And she's one of those that want to talk and tell me all her mother problems about all the shit going on with her other baby daddies and shit. Our food finally come and I'm trying my best to eat fast, right? So I can pay this bill, get in my car and go to home. I take a good 3 bites and this girl take the fork that she was just eating with and put it in my plate to taste some of my food. When I tell you that I got so upset, I pushed the plate away and I look back, I say, why the hell would you do that? And I didn't say it nice. I asked her, why the hell would you do that? Why would you put your nasty fork in my plate? So I'm livid. I'm mad because if you know me, I don't do shit like that. I don't share food. You ain't finna put your nasty ass fork in my plate. Don't ask me for the. If you wanted it, you should have ordered the shit. I'm pissed, right? So I call the waiter over, and I say, hey, this is gonna be 2 separate checks. I'm gonna go ahead and pay for mine so I can get the hell out of here, right? So she was like, wait, you that mad? Oh, hell, yeah. Who the does that? This the first time I'm meeting you. You know what I'm saying? And you want to put your nasty fork in my food? Shit.
I just had to block a dude on Snapchat because he said he was going to be a little touchy on the date. And I told him no, he was not. And if he was, I was going to stay home. He then proceeded to say, don't even worry about it. I said, what do you mean? You're canceling the date? He then says, yes, because if I'm taking you on a date and I'm taking you all these places and I can't touch you, there ain't no point of us going. I said, you mean the date that I have to drive to myself and I planned on paying for it myself for this exact stuff right here? I said, yeah, I'm sorry, Buki. You're going to have to find a girl with no morals because you're not finna get that over here. I'm sorry. Mind you, this was going to be our very first date. We've only been talking for like a week. Are you serious? Dude thought just because I was going to allow him to buy me a plate of Alfredo that I was going to give him the green light. Are you cool? Get him out of here, Coach.
So I meet this girl through TikTok. I'm in California. She's in Arkansas. We decide to meet in Fort Lauderdale, Florida at the airport and get a hotel. It was like a resort hotel about an hour away. Anyway, I pick her up from the airport, or I'm driving up to the airport and I see her walking out the little sliding doors. I'm like, damn, she's a baddie. Then I look down and she's dragging a Dora the Explorer suitcase. That's all she has. A Dora the Explorer, like a 5-year-old girl's suitcase. That should have been my first red flag to go. But me being the nice guy that I am, I said hop in. I helped her load her Dora the Explorer bag into my car. So I got a rental car. We're mobbing. It's about an hour drive to our resort. She plugs her cell phone in and she listens to K-pop the whole drive. Korean pop music the whole drive. I'm not hating on the music, but after a while, it's a little deafening. She pulls out a bag of hot Cheetos from her Dora the Explorer backpack, and the whole time she let that cake on her fingers for about 40 minutes before she started licking it and scraping it with her teeth. I don't want to hold your hand, bro. Well, we're about 30 minutes from the hotel, so we're about halfway through our 1 hour and 10-minute drive. And she starts slapping the dashboard, banging her hands on the dashboard. She's like, pull over, pull over. I'm going 80 miles per hour on the highway, and I'm looking at her. I turn down her K-pop. I'm looking at her Cheeto-dusted fingers, and I'm like, what's going on? She's like, just pull over. As I'm pulling over into this gravel pit, she hops out the car before I even come to a full stop, and she shits herself. I don't know if it was the hot Cheetos or what, but I seen a little, like, residue on the seat of this rental car, and she literally herself on the side of the road. She looks in, she pokes her head in the passenger door, and she says, can you grab me a shirt or something from my suitcase? I reach back in her Dora the Explorer suitcase, and I grab the first shirt I see, Ninja Turtle shirt. She herself, wipes her with the Ninja Turtle shirt, hops back in the car and says, okay, we can go now. I turned around and took her back to the airport. Never talked to her again.
I did it. I met this guy through Instagram. He just messaged me and we started talking. We talked for about
I think 2 months. Yeah, it was like 2 months before I saw him for the first time. So this guy doesn't live close. He lives hella far, actually, like in a different city. One day I was at home and I had nothing to do. He messaged me. He was like, yeah, can I take you out to do something? He said, I'm gonna drive to your city after work, so I'll be there quite late. What can we do? That's actually the first red flag. Like, if you want to see me, come with a plan. Like, what do you want us to do? Basically, there's this arcade that just opened in my city. We can go there. It's open till like 1 o'clock at night. He was like, perfect, I'm on my way. Second red flag, he was hella late. He was hella late and he was coming up with excuses. Back then, I wasn't that annoyed that he was late because like I said, I was at home anyways. I wasn't doing anything. When he finally arrived, I got downstairs in the car. Huge mistake I made was I gave this guy my full address. So I gave this guy my full address. Ladies, if you start dating, never do this. This guy, like a couple blocks away, the wrong number, I don't know what, but never give that guy the full address. Mind you, he's never been in my city before. So I asked him, do you know the way? He was like, yeah, I'll find it. I told him, if you want, I can put the address in your phone, like GPS. He's like, no, I'll find it. He put an address in his phone where we were going, and he kept making the wrong turn. Sir, how do you not know when to turn left? Like, huh? Oh, something I forgot. Before we were going to the arcade, we were gonna go get some drinks in a cafe, restaurant, bar, something like that. The cafe was closed by this time because he was late. And he kept making the wrong turns. There was a night shop at the corner and he asked me like, yeah, can you go get something for me? Can you go get something to drink? Excuse you? I mean, it's not the worst thing ever, but I mean, like, on a first date, why do you, I don't know, it's kind of weird. It's weird. He did gave me his card. Better, because I was not gonna pay for that man. So he did give me the card and I went to the night shop and I bought us some drinks. This was my cue to go. This was my opportunity just to book an Uber and go home. I ignored my intuition and I just got back in the car. And this guy proceeded to tell me, yeah, I'm actually really tired. I think I'm just gonna go back to your like area where you live. So the date is just you driving us to the night shop? Is that the date? I just said, okay, and we went. I know. You have like quiet neighborhoods as well. So he just drove up there and we just, talked in the car. He's like, yeah, let's play a game. The game he wanted to play was he puts on a song and we have to guess which song that is. I love to play games. I love any type of games, everything. So I'm very competitive and I was starting to win. I got a few song rights or whatever. This man started to get mad. Oh, you're not giving me enough time to guess the song. Da, 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 da. But that's not how the game works, sir. He's starting to get mad. And he's like, yeah, that's wrong with the people from your city. Me, I'm a very sarcastic person. Very, very sarcastic. So I thought that this guy was laughing, like he was making jokes. He was like, yeah, that's what's wrong with you guys in the city. Da, 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 da. I'm gonna just tell you where this guy is from. He's from Charleroi. If you're from Belgium, you know. What is it doing? There's nothing to do there. So I was laughing. I was like, yeah. And you, like, your city is so like this. Nothing to do, boring. He looked me dead in the eyes. Like, never talk bad about my city again. Okay, that was so weird. Are you the mayor? Sir, you have a key to the city? I'm confused. I forgot a major detail. Sometimes when I won, he like punch me on my arm, but not like hard or anything, just like, don't know. And then he really, thinking about this is so crazy. He wouldn't punch me hard. Like I thought he was playing. He would punch me sometimes. And then he would be like, yeah, I know people who can really get like messy. Mind you, I thought this man was like trying to flirt with me or whatever. I don't know what I was thinking. I basically proceeded to tell him, don't think that I don't know people. Like, I know people too. I was trying to act out tough or whatever. I don't know. This guy, actually, I have to put this down for a second. This guy proceeded to look me dead in the eye. He grabbed a hammer from beneath his chair, a crusty, dusty, old, musty ass hammer. And he told me, don't play with me. I can bust this on your head right now. I can bury you outside and nobody will know that I did it. He was like, bah, bah, bah. That's what I'm going to do to you. That's what I'm going to do to you if you keep playing. No, baby. Getting serious. This man was dead ass. He was serious. This time I knew I needed to get the hell out of that car. I needed to ASAP. No Rocky. I even asked him, can you drive me back? And I was like, why do you want to go? I said, yeah, it's getting late. I don't want to stay. I want to go. This guy looked at me and he said,
So I drove all the way to your city and you're not even gonna do nothing with me? Not even gonna touch me? I beg your pardon? What? No. Rewind. What? Like the night was not crazy enough. This guy is asking me stupid nonsense things. I was so confused. It was my cue to hop out of that car. And that's what I did, girl. I hopped out of the car and I started walking. He started following me around. So he drove like right next to me while I was walking back home. He kept telling me, get back in the car, get back in the car. And I said, no, I don't want to get back in the car. Like, you're freaking me out. He's like, yeah, give me a kiss, give me a kiss. I was like, no, sir, no, the hell? He parked the car right in front of me. He looks at me and he had this look in his eye. I just knew that man was gonna drag me into his car. Not even to be funny, that man was gonna drag me into his car. God is real. God is real, because by that moment, the moment he just like drove in front of me, the police drove by and they were looking at us. And he saw the police, he drove right off. He left and I was like, hey, thank God. I don't even know what was gonna happen if the police was, God forbid, I don't even want to think about that. But I was so scared that he was waiting on me at my house because, like I said, I gave him my full address. Stupid me. Luckily, by the time I got home, he was gone. He wasn't outside my door. I got back home, blocked him immediately on all platforms. I think like a month later, I went to the club. There he was. He was standing there looking at me, hella mad. And I was mad confused, like, why is you mad? Like, he looked hella mad at me and I was like, no. This guy is so scary. I just left. I went to the table and enjoyed my night. He was so scary. If you're watching, you weird. You're real weird.